You remember when you got your first ring, when they finally presented it to you?
No,
What?
I can't. I think we did. We had a dinner in downtown Los Angeles, and Mr. Anschutz came in, presented the rings.
For just the coaches or for the whole
No,
team?
team.
Team, yeah.
Yeah.
What's that moment like?
I think for me, it's just, again, it's watching the players. You know, because they're so looking forward to seeing the ring, right? They'd seen it online and, you know, in sketch and all that, but to get the ring is pretty cool. And then as part of that too, the ownership, the Anschutz family, presented the wives or significant others, all not ring but jewelry with that on it. So that was awesome too.
Where do you keep yours right now?
Mine?
Yeah.
They're in a safe.
You don't bring them out very often?
Pardon?
You don't bring them out very often?
You know, if they'll do it for guests or families, children, charity events, things like that. Yeah, we have quite a few. You know what? It's not. We don't wear them. Quite honest, because my brothers, between us, there's 8 rings. So.
Darryl, speaking of rings, you had a little meeting on the ice, and there was 9 Stanley Cup rings in the group of 5 guys out there. If you could talk about the role of the leadership group and what their job is on this team.
You know, the big thing in all that, Derek, is because there's so much speculation always about captains and all that, and it's basically irrelevant for our team to talk about those things. So the best way to look at it is those guys that won Stanley Cups, they're already in that circle, right? Those are at the end of the day, those are the guys through when it ain't always good, right? And those guys know from adversity that's how you become a champion. So those guys know more about the room and leadership than anybody that is ever appointed or chosen. Okay, so they're separate from it. That's a totally different animal. So that's what's important to those guys, and they all they have enough experience now that they understand what really matters at the end of the day. So that's why you always gather those guys.
Darryl, in your experience, what part of opening day really gets you going? Is it the drive to the rink in the morning? Is it the pregame start?
No, I think just the season starting. I mean, and it's funny because the season started this year, and we've been watching regular season games for what, 4 days, counting with San Jose. So it's just anybody. You think like the players, they just want to get going now, right? They've been through the 60 player training camp and the split squads and the practices, and they just want to get going. It's now you can start. So you can call it a race, you can call it a marathon, you can call it whatever you want, but it is a start.
Why are people going to fall in love with Kadri here?
Old school, shows up for work. Not gonna remember the identity. We had to start that, right? Hard working, honest players. Hard working, honest player.
Have you seen what you wanted to see from the team at practice this week?
Yeah, we've been really good, really sharp, and I think they're anxious for it.
Do you anticipate Jacob will be good to go tomorrow after a bit?
I'm not. I don't even have 1 year of medical school yet.
So the group is where you want it to be to start the season in terms of preparation and kind of how things are being executed?
Yes, for sure.
I think last year you talked about your blue line. Was it 35 was always the hope, or not hope, I should say, the goal for production from the blue line. Does that change from year to year? Is that
It does change when you have a defenseman, for example, like Colorado tomorrow night, you know, somebody that's, if you have a 20-goal scorer for a defenseman, that's where it changes, right? But for the most part, when you do it, teams, that number is always a realistic number for your team if you don't have that guy, right? So if you just do our defense from last year, these are young guys that we're looking for a little bit of improvement. You look at it, you look Noah, Ross, McKenzie, Z, right? You're looking for, doesn't sound like much, but if it's 2 or 3 more without sacrificing odd man against or a situation where it's a massive scoring chance for the other team, you're looking for 2 or 3 more. And that should be the way it is. I mean, Noah led our team, I believe, with 10. I think McKenzie maybe 8, Ross 6, Z 4. So if if you could add 2 onto each one of them, you get to that. That's how you get to that number.
You've said a lot of good things about Nikita so far this camp. Where have you seen the most growth in his game year to year?
I think number one is, just based on camp, he's had a better camp than he did last year. He'd come from kind of free structure teams, right? Teams they were either in a real not up in the standings or looked on as good clubs, right? If you look at where he played, so there's a lot of undiscipline in terms of where you got to be on the ice and supporting teammates and making the first play. And you know what? If you would just put it this way, Z did not have a very good camp last year. He played the first 2 games and then he didn't play he was out for 6, 7 games in a row. So that was the adjustment he had to make, and we talked to him lots about the role and expanding the role, but being better just in the box at the start in terms of his whole overall game with the puck, without the puck. When the other teams got it, like all those things about making adjustments in his game to do it. So now for real, the next part of it, where does he take that?
Why did the Avalanche win the Stanley Cup, and what are the biggest challenges they present for your team tomorrow?
They won the Stanley Cup because they'd been knocking at the door for 2, 3 years, and the star factor, meaning the position factor, that's really important for them. So all that combines, I think they have 17 players that are still in their team that won it. So it tells you that they're capable of doing that again, and they should. And it's not because we're playing them; they should be the favorites. It's yours. Until somebody takes it, it's yours.
How important is it having star power on teams that you coach?
Star power if they're in it to win the Stanley Cup, if they're in it to go to the conference finals.